Look at this statement. If miracles are impossible, then Jesus did not rise from the dead. Okay, that's called a sufficient conditional in logic. Now, logic does not tell us whether this statement is true or false. Okay, logic tells us only two things. Logic tells us that if I affirm that first part about miracles being impossible, then I must affirm the second part, that Jesus did not rise from the dead. Or if I deny the second part, I must deny the first part. Okay? That's all logic tells me here. Logic says nothing, though, about what is possible or real or historical or truthful or anything like that. Okay? So the question is, what does? And the answer is your presuppositions. So look at this graph here. If you start out with a secular presupposition that miracles are impossible, well, then of course Jesus did not rise from the dead, right? That presupposition is dictating ahead of time what the outcome is going to be. But suppose instead I flip it. Suppose I flip the inference and I say as my presupposition that Jesus rose from the dead. Well, then the result would be miracles are possible, right? So the presupposition is what's controlling where you go in the argument. Another example. This statement, if purposeless evil exists, then God is not sovereign over evil. Okay, logic doesn't tell you what to affirm or what to deny. If you're a secularist, you're going to say, as your presupposition, purposeless evil does in fact exist. There's suffering that just has no purpose whatsoever. Therefore, God's not sovereign over that instance of suffering. Okay, that would follow logically. But if you're a committed Orthodox Christian, you'll say God's sovereign over all the specific instances of suffering in the world. It's His tapestry. He's weaving it all to His own glory and the good of His people, in which case you're going to conclude that purposeless evil does not exist. Now, who determines which of these inferences is correct? Well, they're both valid. They both follow logically from the premises. It's your presupposition that's going to ultimately determine the truth value of them. Now let's look at how secularists leverage their presuppositions against the classical arguments. So here you see the design argument. Premise 1, if design, then not Darwinism. Premise 2, design, conclusion, therefore not Darwinism. Okay, that's a valid argument. But if you're a secularist, you're just going to reverse this. Premise 1, if Darwinism, then no design. Premise 2, Darwinism. Conclusion, therefore, no design. Here are some quotes from atheist biologists. They would say, from Dawkins, biology is a study of complicated things that give the appearance of having been designed for a purpose. Notice that. He's saying the things look designed, but we know, presuppositionally, that they're not designed. They're materialistic. They are unguided, blind, random processes of matter in motion. That's his presupposition. Likewise, Francis Crick says, biologists must constantly keep in mind that what they see was not designed, but rather evolved. This is interesting. He's saying, it sure does look like it's designed, but we know, presuppositionally, that they're not designed. We can explain it materialistically is what they're saying. That's secular presuppositionalism at work there.